And welcome back to the Dynasty Rewind, everybody. I am your host, Michael Bauer. A very, very special episode tonight, a YouTube-only episode. Things have been a little weird in the world lately. I'm sure everyone's noticed. So how are you taking care of yourself? It's many different ways, and we're going to get to that in a minute. First, we're going to talk to my good friend and co-host of the Dynasty Rewind, Nate Christian. How you doing, Nate?
I'm doing great. It is a time where we do have to really take care of ourselves because it's always a very turbulent time right now, and you know everything from the protests to coronavirus and everything in between. So it's good to be
Yeah,
doing this.
it's definitely a weird time to be alive. Things are happening right now that I never thought I would see happen, yet here we are. But so joining us tonight, and he is Mike Hauff. Did I say it right? Because I always do that. Okay,
You
good.
said it.
So,
You said it perfectly.
all right, you could find him on Twitter. He's at the FF Realist, and definitely a great follow. And he does a show called, and I didn't write it down here, but I'm sorry, it's the FF Face Off.
Yeah.
Okay, and you host that with your co-host Anthony Servino, and he's at the Real NFL Guru.
Yep.
All right, so great show, great guys, both of them. Definitely check it out. It comes highly recommended by both myself and Mike because he does it. So, but let's talk about what we're here for. So you started tweeting about this. Mike and I are in a retweet group together on Twitter, and that's how we met. We do follow each other now. He is doing a podathon on July 11th, correct?
That's right. Yeah. July
Okay.
11th.
Now, this
Fun fact.
podathon. I'm sorry.
July
What's that?
11th is my birthday.
Oh, well, see, look at that.
Son
We
of a gun. I
we
planned
got
that.
double dose right there. See, look
I
at
did.
that. Happy birthday, Nate.
That's it.
So this is something that as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to be a part of that. And the reason why is this: my wife is a counselor, so mental health is something that is not taken lightly in this house, especially by my wife on a day-to-day basis. So it's extremely important that I think we come together as people and as the fantasy industry. We need to do more than just give out advice on how to win championships. So if you like people and you listen to this podcast, you listen to the FF Face Off, you definitely want to get involved in some way. So we're going to sprinkle everything in tonight. We're going to talk about the podathon, which, you know what, I want to get into this first. So this is going to be a 16-hour podathon.
That's right. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be less than that. And you were talking to me before the show about this. You had to increase the amount of time it was because the turnout was so good for people wanting to get on. Tell me about how that came about.
Yeah. The initial plan when I had it, when I broached the subject to my podcast co-host, he was like, all right, well, how long? And I was like, I don't know, 12, 16 hours. And then he's like, there's no way we'll get 16. He's like, it's got to be 12. I said, all right. Because we just expected, first year doing something like this, the turnout might not be great, which is not to say the cause isn't great, but whatever. So we started to just put tweets out there and, we started to get guests here and there, trickle. And all of a sudden the floodgates just opened and it was just, it came around a time too. We announced some big guests because it's, I'll tell you this much in this industry, being as saturated as it is, the best advice I can give to anybody, you miss every single shot that you do not take.
Yeah.
So we took chances. We asked some big names that normally wouldn't give us a time of day, and they came through right away and said, absolutely, I'd love to be a part of this. And yeah, so it just built from there. Now it's gotten to the point where it's got to the point where we said we got to do 16 hours, and we'll give everybody an hour, but we'll do 16. Then we said we have to do 16 hours, give everybody a half hour, maybe 20 minutes. So it's built. It's crazy how it's coming together. And you know what? With everything going on, like you guys referenced, it's cool to see that at least with 2020 being the dumpster fire that it is, that something like this can still bring people together. And, there's still a common goal. They're still good out there. So we enjoy that.
Well, I'm glad the turnout's good because right now our turnout for live streaming is 0. But I noticed that with our videos, our live streams, more people come back and watch it later. So the important thing is that right this second, nobody's watching, but I know that the message is going to be heard. Also, we had talked about it. I'm appearing on this as well, so definitely look out for that. I have booked the whole day, so whenever you need me, I'm available and ready to go. So
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
I'll
the
be ready.
other crazy part is when you get this many people, then Anthony does all the production in, which cannot be fun. I would be nowhere without Anthony.
It's
So I
tough. I
can
do
say
it
that.
for this podcast, and
Yeah.
it is the worst part of doing the podcast. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I would be nowhere without Anthony. I would just be a guy wearing a hat and making bad jokes and drinking a beer. So
You're every other dad, then, right?
yeah, but my end of it is, yeah, I'm gonna have to take all these guests that we have and start to trickle in time spots, and some of them are, like the Michael Fabianos of the world, and the Matthew Berry or even Hayden Hurst. It's gonna be, those guys will take precedence, and we'll have to trickle in,
course.
and that'll be a day in which I have some Motrin and drink some whiskey, but we'll get it done.
You're gonna have to. And actually, so Nate, I don't know how much you know about this, but this is benefiting. And Mike, I'm really curious about this one. So this is something that you're doing with Hayden Hurst, right? Like it's
Right.
helping his foundation. Can you explain that to us? Because to get, I mean, Hayden Hurst, it's a shame he didn't work out in Baltimore. Nate is a Ravens fan, but I really think personally he's going to do fantastic in Atlanta.
Mhm.
A lot of people are saying that Austin Hooper was great because of the product that he kind of had to be, but I'll be honest with you. I think Austin Hooper is extremely skilled. I think Hayden Hurst is extremely skilled. He's
Yeah.
going to be just fine in Atlanta. So can you explain how he got involved in this with you guys?
Yeah, and real quick about Hayden, I think a lot of people forget that when that draft happened, he was the first pick for the Ravens that year. I mean, they had two
That's right.
first-round picks. They took a guy by the name of Lamar Jackson just towards the end of the first round, but
Worked out
Hayden
well.
was the first guy. Yeah, it worked out so far.
Yeah,
So,
so far.
but what happened was, I kind of got this idea because I deal with mental health. Even just last year, I had, I don't know, 6 to 10 times, maybe 12, where I had gone to the hospital because I had anxiety. Something was wrong with me. Everything that happened to me, I thought it was the end. I was in bad shape, and it was just dark times. I've gotten over that since then, hiccups along the way, but I've gotten over that. But dealing with that and then noticing a couple people like Mike Wright from the Fantasy Footballers, he makes some tweets kind of talking about mental health, or a Casey Kasem, she tweets about mental health. So
she's fantastic, by the way.
yeah, she is fantastic. She's a good egg. So as time started going by, I started to get this idea, and then all of a sudden I saw the story about Hayden Hurst and everything he's gone through. And then I read about his foundation. So basically what just happened was, first I contacted his agent. And I was like, do you think Hayden would have any interest? And he was like, he probably would, but you want to contact the foundation. So one thing led to another. And once he heard the idea, he said, absolutely, I'm all in. And not only am I all in, I'll come on, because I said to them, all proceeds, which is true, all proceeds on July 11th, we're going to do it through a GoFundMe. All proceeds are going to go to the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation, which it's really what it is. It's raising awareness of mental health issues in adolescents and teens. Basically they raise money to help, and then they start foundations and they donate to other foundations and so forth. So it's a really good cause. It's, because we all deal with anxiety or mental health in some fashion, one way or another. So I feel like dealing with it in children and adolescents and, teens, stuff like that, let's just cut it off at the pass, hopefully, and do our best to deal with it. So I thought it was a great idea, and that's basically how it worked out.
I mean, that's awesome. First of all, it's awesome that people actually respond back to you. I've had a hard time sometimes booking guests on the podcast, but you have been an exception to that. You're very responsive anytime that we talked. So from a fantasy aspect of it, Nate, I want to ask you, obviously this is involving Hayden Hurst. As a Ravens fan, how are you feeling about him leaving the team? Are you liking what they got in return? I thought the trade was pretty good for both sides, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I do like the trade. It was a shame that we had to let him go because I did like Hayden Hurst, and he always had those flashes of being, a great tight end that you could rely on. But I mean, it was just the pecking order. I mean, Mark Andrews just absolutely dominated, and he only had like 33% snaps last year.
Yeah.
So now that he's going to have all those open snaps, I mean, Mark Andrews is a huge buy candidate for myself. And Hurst was productive when he was given opportunities. He was kind of used in both pass catching situations and blocking situations, while Nick Boyle was almost always blocking and Mark Andrews was always taking opportunities in the passing game. So he's a player who can do it both. He showed it in college. He showed it in his 2 years. The only knock on him really is that he was like a 24, 25-year-old rookie. So he's already 26, 27.
Yeah.
But I do think that Austin Hooper, while talented, was much more of a system tight end. And I
Okay.
think Hayden Hurst going into that system is going to just eat. And I think he's being undervalued right now.
Yeah.
He had, by the way, I mean, and Nate, that's great points. And I mean, Hayden had one of the better 40 times among tight ends that year at the combine. I think he was like fourth. And by the way, he was behind Jalen Samuels. So, I mean, I think the way this offense is going to work, I mean, if he's able to work the middle of the field, that middle of the field is going to be nice and open for him. It's hard to argue with the system tight end comment as well, in my personal opinion. I think Hayden's going to absolutely eat in Atlanta. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So we're not thinking that Hooper does. How are we thinking Hooper finishes this year then? Obviously not a tight end 1, which I saw the regression coming. Like mid-tier tight end 2, low-end tight end 2. What do you guys think?
I could see tight end 1. Like
Really?
As in like tight end like 10, 11, 12. I mean, it's not like it's that hard to get into that end of that top.
This
group.
is
There's
true.
about like 6 guys I know are going to be tight end 1s,
Right.
and the rest of that half is just totally open.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see him, especially with Stefanski there. I mean, he made Kyle Rudolph relevant for a long time, and they're going to have a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I think Hooper can still be a low tight end 1, high tight end 2.
I've got him currently in my rankings. I've got him as a low tight end 1. But he could definitely slide back. And right now, just with rankings early on, I have Hayden at 12 and I have Hooper at like 10 or 11. But by the time the season starts, they're going to cross, because I love Hayden too much in this offense. And it's funny, people are going to be like, well, that's convenient. You're doing a podathon for the guy. But it's truthfully, I really do think he's going to do well in that offense. And nothing against Austin Hooper. I like the comment about, maybe a system guy. I get it, and I like it, but I'm worried about that Cleveland Browns offense. I mean, Stefanski, yes. I feel more stable or comfortable with Kevin Stefanski than I would now if they let's say they went with Freddie Kitchens again. So let's ride year 2. Let's see what happens. I feel much more comfortable that way, but still, I mean, even if the Browns start to catch fire, I mean, how much is Austin Hooper going to eat? I don't know. I'm worried.
So they do.
Yeah.
I won't own him, but I won't be surprised if he finishes as a solid tight end. But go ahead, Nate. What were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, they still have Njoku, who, people are in on, out on. Who even knows what the coaching staff thinks of him? And they also drafted one of my favorite rookie tight ends in a very not great rookie class, Harrison Bryant. I like Harrison Bryant a lot, so I think he'll see some snaps this year. So between that rotation of 3 tight ends in a lot of 2 tight end sets, he's also not going to have nearly as big of a market share as he had with the Falcons. So
this is true. Yeah. And let's not forget too, the Cleveland Browns running game, in my opinion, right now is better than what the Falcons were last year. Now that being said, they brought in Todd Gurley. I almost said turd when I said Todd Gurley, but I guess if you combined his names, you could kind of do that.
Yeah, it works.
I mean, he's another guy too that people are kind of all over the place on. Like, I really don't know what to think about Todd Gurley like right now. I want to say he's going to be fine and he's going to be a low end running back 1, high end running back 2. But man, for the Rams to just cut bait like that, it's really got to say something.
That's for sure.
It is concerning.
Well,
that being said, if I get him late in a startup, I'm going to be happy to have him because you have a starting running back right there.
He has the ceiling of being. He could literally be the RB1 this year in PPR leagues.
It's possible.
Yeah,
he could be.
Listen, if you go back, by the way, on Todd Gurley, 2017, this is half point scoring. In 2017, he was an RB2 or better 93.3% of the time. Then the following year, 92.9% of the time. Last year, when everybody expected the sky to fall, sure, it's not in the 90s, but 80% of the time, he's a running back 2 or better. That's a lot. That's a lot, but it's better than a lot of other guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm one of those guys who I like Todd Gurley, but I say that you have to rethink, you have to revise, I should say, your thoughts on what Todd Gurley was to you 2 years ago. He's not that guy anymore. That's facts of life. Don't matter Rams, Falcons, whatever. This is Todd Gurley now. But still, for what he is now, he could still be darn good. And this Falcons offense, we just talked about it. I mean, spreading the field, Hayden Hurst in the middle. You get in the red zone. I mean, you tell me Todd Gurley can't punch it in the red zone, and he doesn't have to carry the load like he did with the Rams for those few years. So,
also, how does Dan Quinn still have a job? I mean, squeaks it out. I guess I'll give him credit for that. But while we're on Todd Gurley, real quick, what are we thinking about Darrell Henderson? It's one of those things. It's like, man, this time last year, people were all over him. And then, I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he hardly played. He was a guy I really loved coming out of Memphis. Please say Memphis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Just having one of those moments. But now they go ahead, they draft Cam Akers. So it's like, what are we supposed to think about Darrell Henderson? He's got draft capital, 3rd round. That's not David Montgomery's a 3rd round draft pick. He's a starter in the NFL. What are we supposed to do with this guy right here? I've ever owned a share because he's either going higher than I'm willing to pay for him, or trade wise, people are just asking too much. I really don't know what to think. I think I'm out on Henderson, but so Doug, Oklahoma Doug, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. Nate, I know you are. Mike, I don't know if you are or not. He's actually in the chat right now. He's watching. Doug, what's up, my man? I'm excited to have you on. That's going to be happening in a few weeks. He says, do you want a top-tier wide receiver 2 or Todd Gurley? It seems around his area in my drafts. So, I mean, I think sometimes it's easier to find a plug-and-play wide receiver than running back. Doug's got a point, and he just said, love him as my running back 3 flex. Yeah. So, but it's also amazing. 2 years ago, Todd Gurley is the guy going 1-1 in dynasty startups, and now Doug just made a great point here. He's a running back 3 flex in 2 years.
Well, that goes into my point is you have to, which sounds like Doug is doing that. You've got to change the way in which you look at Todd Gurley. If you look at Todd Gurley as what he was 2 years ago, being the 101 in dynasty, then you're going to overvalue the guy and you're going to be pissed off in the end. You have to look at what he is, but know that just because he's got arthritic knees doesn't mean that he's dead and buried.
True.
So if you could look at it that way, then go ahead. And I would like to take him. I'm going to take him in a bunch of drafts, honestly.
Yeah.
Mike, do you play any IDP?
I dabble with a little bit of IDP. I do. I am not an expert, but I dabble.
Then Doug, who's watching right now, he's a listener of the Rewind. He's one of my go-to guys for IDP knowledge. He breaks down, he breaks down like the intricacies of the defenses, and it's like the stuff he's saying. I think to myself, why are you not a coach somewhere? But Doug's a great guy. So if you don't follow him, and everybody that's watching this, follow at Oklahoma Nerd, I think it is. Just type in Oklahoma Doug, you'll find him. He's a great dude, just in life as well as on the IDP front. He writes for Dynasty Nerds. Great guy. He will be on the Dynasty Rewind in a few weeks. I don't have that date in front of me exactly. I don't know, but also play IDP. It's fun.
Well, I'll definitely look him up.
Mike, what is your favorite football team, NFL-wise?
My favorite football team is the 49ers.
The 49ers. You live on Long Island, and you're a 49ers fan.
True story. And I despise the Giants with every fiber of my being.
I'm going to need some explanation from this because, I guess I'm just saying, I shouldn't make assumptions, but a New York guy, I figured Doug's coming on the 19th. He just told me. Thanks, Doug. I figure you're either going to be Jets, Giants. Giants seems to be the most popular thing up there.
Hey, the
And
Giants.
Doug is also a Niners fan too. So look at
Oh,
that.
there you go.
You guys you're making friends. So explain to me how you became a 49ers fan. That's pretty intriguing to me.
When I was a little kid, I've everybody has somebody that they looked up to as a kid in their family, and mine was my cousin. My cousin is my brother from another mother. So when I was a kid, he was a diehard 49er fan. And what happened was that so my brother and me, we gravitated towards the 49ers. When Joe Montana left for Kansas City, so too did my cousin, and he decided to go for the Chiefs. And then I stayed with the 49ers, Jerry Rice, and then it went to Steve Young after that. And I'm hopelessly devoted to the 49ers, even through the bad years. I've hated Jed York. I've loved Jed York. And to put a lighthearted spin on 2020, people will get offended, but whatever. But the bad year started when the Niners lost the Super Bowl. So, I mean, so that is, that's how I view it.
You aren't wrong, I guess.
Less relevant on the scale to everybody, but that was a heartbreaker.
So if it makes you feel any better, I was cheering for the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
I appreciate that.
I'm not a 49ers fan. I'm actually an Eagles fan. But everyone was telling me that I should be cheering for the Chiefs because Andy Reid is their head coach. And I would say to everybody, really, I wasn't sure that Andy Reid was their head coach. I hadn't noticed. No, I cheer for He never gave me what I wanted.
Well, to me, that was one of the worst things about the Super Bowl for me was that it was against Andy Reid, who I always love because I like Philly. I'm a baseball fan. I'm a Mets fan, so I hate the Phillies, but I love the Eagles.
We don't like you either. Don't worry.
It's all good. No worries. But I've always had a soft spot for the Eagles. I've got a very close friend of mine who's an Eagles fan. So to me, I'm like, of all the Super Bowls that Andy Reid's got to make, like where he can win it, it's got to be against me. Like, so yeah.
The good thing is, I think the three of us on here can agree that we all hate the Patriots.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, okay, maybe not so much for you. Nate is a Ravens fan, so I mean, and me
Nate's
obviously
about to kick me out. That's it. I don't love them. I don't hate them like everybody else does. I don't despise them. I get why people hate them. Believe me.
Yeah, it's it's pretty cut and dry. Doug wants to know if you like s'mores. By the way, Mike.
I mean, I could do some s'mores, Doug, if you want.
Right. You guys are besties now. So
does Doug like whiskey? I feel like this is like an eHarmony thing. Does Doug like whiskey?
I don't know. I'll wait and see. He's also he does not like the Texas Longhorns, but he is a diehard Texas Rangers fan.
See, that's a problem because my sister lived in Austin, Texas for a few years. So so I like the Longhorns. So there's our first there you go. The honeymoon's over. So
not always a perfect match. Hey, so let's talk a little bit about the FF face-off. Okay. How long have you guys been on the air? And Doug just swiped left, by the way. So
nice. Good to know.
So how long have you guys been on the air? Just for anyone who doesn't know about you guys, are we talking general fantasy content? Do we just talk NFL? Do you dive into dynasty, best ball? Like what would you say is your specialty?
Our specialty is, I mean, we do a lot of NFL. We do fantasy, but we try and keep reality into it. I don't, and this sounds like, whatever to say, but like, I didn't come up with the FF Realist as my Twitter handle by accident. It's you have to keep things real. NFL teams don't operate to help your fantasy football league. So, I mean, we try and intertwine fantasy into NFL the best we can. We're not the biggest dynasty guys. We can definitely get into it. We definitely have knowledge on it. Redraft, obviously. I mean, we literally try and do it all. We try and do it all on the show. And how it got started was, I don't even know how long we've been doing it. And this is like when you're talking, like when somebody asks you, "Oh, you've been dating your wife for how long?" And I forget when we got started.
The answer is
you
always date your wife.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Because that's how things keep fresh. And my wife, who's a counselor, will tell you that you always have to date your spouse. So in quarantine, what we did was I made dinner one night. She gave the baby a bath and put her to bed. And then we kept anything that's electronic, her smartwatch, our phones were in another room. We lit
Good.
candles, we put on music, and that was it. So that's how
good.
we did a quarantine date. But
Well,
Sounds sensual.
well, I mean, Anthony and me aren't doing that. You know, we're not doing that. But
I would hope not. If you guys light candles and
Yeah.
have dinner, I would love to just be a fly on the wall for that. I'm not gonna lie. Nate and
Long
I will
walk to
show
the
up.
beach.
yeah, that's right. It was honestly though, seriously speaking back, and I mean, you guys will have him on eventually. I think he said he's spoken to you guys before. He'll be on a but I could never do the show without Anthony, and I feel like he would probably say the same about me. Maybe he wouldn't, but I feel like he might. We're a very good connection of creativity, business sense, and so forth. It just and it's funny, we randomly got together to start a podcast. We were both writing for Gridiron Experts, and they said, "Hey, we want to start podcasting. If anybody can pair up, come up with an idea." And me and Anthony were just talking, and that was it. So I think my lucky stars from a fantasy football perspective that I have, Anthony.
I could say the same thing. Nate and I had a great connection. We actually bonded over one player. Nate, do you remember who that is?
Oh yes, of course. Lamical P. Ryan.
I'm a huge LaMichael P. Ryan fan.
That's funny.
And people think I'm crazy. And everyone's like, I hate the spot, but I got to be honest with you. I love the spot. He was drafted by Gase. He could be quote unquote Gase's guy. I don't know, whatever. It's one of those things where the talent's there and people are like, well, this and that. The numbers aren't there. Yeah, Florida wasn't the best team, but put on the film. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with him. The guy can freaking play, man. He can play. I kind of feel like Le'Veon Bell's on his way out in New York. He seems to just be burning bridges. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's how Nate and I got together.
Yeah, I do worry about running backs with Gase though. Not to tap dance on your
No. You know what? You do have a valid point, and that's something I take into consideration. Now, that being said, Dynasty Rewind, we're mostly Dynasty focused. So long term, you know that there's usually that learning curve, and I'm okay to stash him on my taxi squad for a year. And when Gase gets fired because he's a whack job and doesn't take the team to the playoffs again, and Le'Veon Bell's at the door, you have a guy that is he going to be the starter? Maybe. He's got a shot, right? And sometimes when you're doing those drafts, late second, third, fourth round, Nate, Mike, do you play in any dynasty leagues at all?
I am actually in now 3 dynasty leagues. Funny, I told myself I was only going to stay in my one that I'm already in.
It's an addiction,
3
man.
or 4. Well, then the coronavirus happens. No one can go anywhere. So let's just draft. So yeah, I just finished my second dynasty draft of second dynasty startup this week.
They're so fun though. I love doing dynasty drafts, and I'm like, I need to stop. There's so much
hope at the beginning, like it's all hope at the beginning.
I'm actually
going to be wonderful.
I'm hopeless right now. I need help. I started an auction draft. It's starting either tomorrow or the next day. They're still deciding on I've never done auction before. I have no idea what to do. I made a list
auctions,
like of guys that I think could make me competitive, but I might not have to spend a ton of money on, like Ryan Tannehill, for example. Everyone's going to go for Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and they're going to way overpay. But like, if I get a guy like Ryan Tannehill, he's a starter. He's very efficient. He's very productive. It's like I wrote a bunch of stuff out, but I'm new to how this whole thing works. So
this is Dynasty Auction? Doing? I love it though.
Yeah,
oh, man. I want to get in that. Can I get in that? Do you have any extra spots? I love that.
I was invited. It's actually by a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts called the FF Dynasty.
Okay.
I talked to them, right? The one dude, he grew up about 20 minutes from where I did, and then he moved down. I think they're based out of South Carolina or something like that. So him and I kind of had that connection. And they're like, hey, you want in? It's $100 auction. And I was like, I can't do any more leagues, man. And then I thought about it and I was like, Yeah, I could do it. I could do another league.
more.
$100? Yeah, why not? You know?
Would it
I'm
take
not-
you 10 minutes to figure that out? Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
sat
could
on
do
it.
it.
I was like, give me a day or two to figure it out. And what I actually did was there was a couple leagues that I was in last year, like 2 leagues folded. So that opened that up. And then one I
Mhm.
left. And Nate, what do we got going on
Zero.
over there?
Got a stink bug over here,
Oh, I thought it was a
Oh.
murder hornet.
like trying to attack me. What's that?
I randomly thought of a bat for some
I'm gonna,
reason.
I'm gonna get it. What's that?
That's right.
So, Mike, that's cool though that you are you're a 49ers fan living on Long Island. Hey, talk to me a little bit about I have it somewhere. You said Gridiron Experts, right?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
I say that right? Okay, are
Yep.
you still writing for them actively or with
I
the
am
pod?
still. Yeah, no, I'm still writing for them. I do their Stardom Cinema column now. I mean,
That's weekly?
yeah, that's weekly, and
That's a
I was
lot.
getting into it. It is, but I like it because I mean, if you're getting into if I could give another recommendation, if anybody's getting into the business, I'd love doing weekly articles that are done at the beginning of the week because then you're
Okay.
done with it. You know, like it's funny,
That's a
like
good
Anthony does the sleepers, which always comes out later. So it's like it's funny. It's like I'll be done and I'll have my hands up, I'll be relaxing, and Anthony's all, oh god, I gotta grind through this article and it's getting close to the end of the week and the pressure's on. But yeah, I've been doing that for a couple of years with them. I've done a lot of writing for Gridiron Experts. I've been there for a couple of years. I literally I had an article. I tried to ask him, do they need more writers? And then he said, no, but if you ever have a sample, then you can send it to me. And at the time, Julian Edelman went down in training camp with a hamstring injury or something like that. And Chris Hogan had just gotten there. And I said, well, I have this article on Chris Hogan. And then he's like, all right, fine. He's like, send it now. Sent it, publish it, there, done. So ever
awesome.
since, I've been there ever since. So yeah, it's it's a good site to be on. It's cool. It's got a lot of talented writers. So you could say that about a lot of sites, a lot of talented writers. But yeah, so good times.
Speaking of which, Nate is a writer for Dynasty Nerds, which is actually the same site that I technically I'm still a contributor. I should probably contribute to be considered one. Been a little busy though. So that's where I got my start too in the fantasy industry. If it also feels weird saying industry too, seeing it's just based on a game. But Nate, do you have anything new coming out anytime soon? You've been putting out some great tweets, by the way.
Yeah, so I've started working on a 2019 rookie wide receiver series. I have an Excel sheet that I put together with a whole bunch of different stats and efficiency stats, so I can compare these guys and look at, which guys didn't get a lot of opportunity, but the opportunity they got, they did really well with, and kind of break that down. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to make it like a long series, just a couple articles, what I want to do with that. I don't want to commit to too much. And then we've already finished all of our, rookie profiles for this year. So I've also, as I mentioned in our group chat, I'm thinking about tracking targets for 2021 rookie wide receivers. And
that is a lot of work, man.
I started doing it for the national championship game, and I want to do it where I track their target and what the score was and what the quarter was. And you see if Justin Ross is getting targeted more than any other receiver when they're down by one score. You see if someone,
didn't Justin Ross get hurt today?
Justin Ross,
that's such a shame.
It's not that he got hurt, but they found out that he had a condition he was born with.
Yeah.
Where
wild
part of his spine, two of the spinal bones are fused together, which means that underneath of that second one, there's too big of a gap. It sounds really serious.
It was something wild. Yeah, that's
So I'm hearing that some people are saying he might not play football again.
So that's what's been going around. And about a couple minutes before we got on the podcast here, I saw a quote from Sports Illustrated that was the full quote that said doctors are optimistic that he should be able to play again. So
they do know what they're talking about.
But it seems like it's really up in the air right now. So I don't know.
Mike, also, Doug says he was thinking about an auction 12-team league with his wonderful sponsor, MFL. Holla if you think we could round up more. First of all, Doug, how do you get sponsored by MFL? Like, I don't understand how that happens.
That's actually, I'll tell you what. I'll join my league if you could help me pay for my other league, since you're sponsored by NFL, MFL, because I've got a league I'm waiting. No, I got to pay for. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go, Doug. So reach out to Mike.
I could definitely round up 3, 4, maybe 5 guys. Hit me up at the FF Realist, and we'll make some magic.
Doug, let's. I'll tell you what. Let's do that. You're hearing it right now. I know Doug knows a ton of people. Maybe Nate, we could get some of the Rewind crew involved. Mike, you can get some of your guys involved. It could be a nice thing there.
Yeah.
So
I've never done an auction before.
It's fun, man. It is. But it's like to me, it's funny. I remember the first auction draft I did. I spent way too hard. You just have to remember the first one you go in on. Like, it's such a slippery slope, because it's like, don't be too dramatic, but also don't be too frugal. Like, it's a tightrope.
Yeah, I think I've done one a long time ago for redraft, but never one for startup for Dynasty.
They do auction redrafts, really?
Yeah, I've done auction redraft. That's where I started, was doing auction redraft.
Okay, I'd be interested in that as well. I guess I don't play as much redraft as I used to. Obviously, with the whole Dynasty thing, it's fun, but I still do love. See, and people tell me, they're like, "Well, once you go Dynasty, you can't go back." Blah blah. No, you still need to play redraft, because the ebb and flow of a redraft league helps you navigate your Dynasty leagues better. So you have to play everything to really become a fully rounded fantasy football player, in my opinion. People could disagree, but I'm the host, so that's fine. So another question for you. What other celebrities can we expect on here? If you get Kay Adams on there and you were talking about grouping people together, certainly feel free to put me with her. I'm assuming we'll be doing some sort of video chatting where I could see everyone's face. So I'll take the bullet for everybody, and you could gladly lump me with her.
I appreciate you being a good soldier. But yeah, I put the flyer out there to Kay Adams. I haven't heard anything back yet, so Kay, if you're listening, you should just join us. But
it's doubtful, but
possible. Consistent listener here.
Okay, there you go. But right now we've got I mentioned we got Michael Fabiano. I'm working on something with that. I don't want to give anything away, but I'm working on something behind the scenes with that. Matthew Berry, Darius Geis is going to be there. Hayden Hurst is going to be there. Yeah. So and a lot of the CBS guys, the Chris Towers, and then Heath Cummings and Dave Richard, those guys are all going to be on. Marcus Grant's going to be on. Adam Rank, which inside joke with me and Adam Rank is card subject to change. Because things could change. So, but that's our inside joke. So I'll take it. Just cool that I have an inside joke with Adam Rank. There you go. Yeah. Even though I let you guys all know it, whatever. But yeah, so that's what we've got going on so far. But honestly, we're getting to the point now where we're so full. I've got to look over potential time slots and stuff. I don't even know how many more people we can get.
Just extend it, make it 24 hours.
I mean, talk to Anthony about that. I mean, I'll do it. I'm psychotic enough to do it. Anthony, make that a personal message to him. So
if one of you need to step out for a little bit and have me on retainer as a fill-in host, I do hosting duties. So if you're like, man, I gotta take a half-hour nap, can you stand in? Sure.
That was the other problem, was like we said to each other, like, like we could just one of us could take a break, the other one could do it, and we could swip back and forth. But the guests we're getting, and not even big name guests, just people in the industry, because that too, I wanted to get people in the industry, people that grind every single day, where it's not as easy for guys like us. It's hard. You grind, you try and get subscribers, you try and get likes and this and that and retweets. I want to get those guys too, but we got good guys there. So we've got so many good guys, I don't want to take a break. I want to talk to everybody. So I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. I'm going to drink a lot of Red Bull. I'm not gonna be able to drink alcohol till about like it's gonna end at 11. So I figured 9 o'clock I could start. So I'm on my game.
Plenty of water.
Plenty of
So
water.
your mouth doesn't. Man, that's gonna be.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I give you guys a lot of credit. It's like every time you put out a tweet about it, it just seems like it's getting better and better too.
Yeah.
So this is something we were looking forward to the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. That unfortunately got canceled. So right now, this is kind of the this is going to be the thing that I'm looking forward to. Now, is this going to be live streamed? Are you going to release this as a series of podcasts? How are you guys planning on doing it?
I mean, I'm not sure how that'll be after the fact, but I can tell you that live it's going to be on YouTube and it's going to be on Periscope. So if you're on Twitter, you'll be able to, if you follow me at the FF Realist, Anthony at the Real NFL Guru, at the Real NFL Guru, or at FF Face Off. It's going to be posted there live, so you could just join whenever you'd like. So yeah, it's going to be live, so it's going to be there for viewing. So, yeah. I mean, after the fact, I'm not sure about how we're going to split it up podcasting wise. Again, that's Anthony's problem, not mine.
Word of advice: if you're going to be talking for 16 hours, you want to make sure you warm up your voice in the morning. Do some vocal exercises.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my actual physical job is I talk to customers all day, and I've done things where I've talked for 16 hours. I do a double. So, and yeah, I know that when it's done, it's like it's hoarse and it's rough, and you're like honestly, you're right. Some voice exercises in the morning will definitely help open it up for sure.
I give you guys so much credit. That's so awesome, though. All right, so we answered a lot of these. Okay, so this is the big one for me. A lot of people are so solely focused on awareness. And awareness is great because obviously you can't know about everything. You just can't.
Right.
Are we more focused on this for raising mental health awareness, or are we getting funds to help people and give people what they need?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everything's going to go to the Hayden Hurst Foundation. So, I mean, again, it's, as far as what the Hayden Hurst Foundation does, I mean, yeah, it's they fund it basically through services and programs, through donations and fundraising events, which will be us. So it's going to go to programs to folks who actually need help. So, yeah, it's going to kind of, and that's the beauty of it. It's going to kind of be everything. It's going to be awareness, and it's going to go to people who need it. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, I feel like while some people are vocal about it on social media, people in our community, there may be some who aren't. There may be some who have, whatever, anxiety or depression, whatever, anything. We talk about this fantasy football industry and how saturated it is. It could be a very humbling experience. There could be a lot of nights where you go to bed and you're like, gosh darn it, it's just not working. And, and that could affect you. And then on top of that, then you're dealing with your daily life. You're dealing with, a wife, a husband, kids, work. That's not fantasy. Yeah. It could be a daunting thing. So you know what? And that's the other thing is maybe this podathon will help somebody come to a realization that, you know what? Like maybe it's okay to talk about it. If I'm jammed up and I'm having a hard time with life, maybe I can reach out to somebody, and whether that goes through Hayden Hurst Foundation or whether that goes through any of us through a direct message or whatever. But I mean, honestly, the goal is just to help any and all in any facet. That's the thing. And I hope that while we'll raise money, I hope that we also, I hope that some folks, like I just said, kind of realize like, hey, like it's all right to talk about it. It's not like, I went to a hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. I drove to a hospital in Queens and I drove for 10 to 15 minutes, not knowing where I was going. GPS, you can't make turns when you're supposed to make turns. You can't make rights on red anymore. Just anxiety, thinking I'm having a heart attack. My heart rate on my watch was like 187. It was really high. But I'm just saying, like, folks that go through those issues, you know what, man? Like, you don't got to deal with that internally. That's what this podathon's for. So that's the goal, is to help literally everybody, awareness or what you're dealing with.
That's great. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like as a man, in today's society, it's really hard to express those things too,
Yep.
because the general consensus seems to be suck it up. So, um, I think it was either my wife or one of her friends shared on Facebook the other day about there was a woman who took her son to the doctor. He was like 3 or 4 or 5, something like that, and he had to get shots, and he was scared and he was crying, and the nurse kind of told him, "Hey, suck it up. You're a man." But it's okay to be scared. Like, I'm 35 and I'm still afraid of needles, hence no tattoos. Um, I hate getting blood drawn. I hate getting the flu shot. Um, it's just one of those things. So, to me, this is really important to say, hey, man, if you're down, reach out to somebody. But at the same point in time, I think on the other flip side too, and I think where it's obviously everybody preaches reach out, but one thing that I think gets lost is be receptive. When someone says, I'm having a hard time, don't say whatever, deal with it. Say, what can I do to help? And that's, obviously being married to a counselor is one of those things. Doug, we love you, by the way, man. I see you in the chat. Doug, you're one of my favorite people on the planet. Just throwing that out there. I've never met you in person, but I love you like a brother. Just throwing it out there. It's one of those things where we need to be receptive when people are like, I need help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have to be better as society. We could see it right now all over.
Very current.
We need to be better. It's just one of those things. So, Mike, again, what you're doing is just fantastic, and I absolutely
Yeah.
love it. Also, I did talk to my wife, and I think I talked to Anthony about this previously. If you would like her to come on and speak as well, I could set it up so that usually I use an audio interface with my mic here, but I have a mixer, so I could do a dual mic setup. I could have her set up and ready to go too.
I will definitely be in touch with you about that. Yeah, she's more than welcome, especially, she's got experience in the field. That's it. Because listen, we're going to talk about football. We're going to have a good time. We're going to make fun of each other. We're going to have some laughs.
That's what I'm here for. I'll drink and I'll make fun of everybody.
But we're going to do all that. But yeah, we're also going to talk about mental health. And yeah, to get, we're also going to have Hayden Hurst's mom is going to be on the show, who is the VP of the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. So she's going to come on too. And I guarantee, I mean, I don't know about how much football knowledge she has. I'm sure she knows everything about her son and what he's done, but she may not be well versed in a Cam Akers or Darrell Henderson debate. So, but she, so yeah, it's for everybody. And yet, you know what? You mentioned it, like, just for those folks who are worried or concerned or feel like they can't talk to anybody, man, we're gonna have a chat in the podathon too. We're gonna have a chat, on, if you go on Periscope, YouTube. Just talk, man. That's it. That's what this is. It's just, don't matter what skin color, what your political thought is, yada yada yada. Just come in, relax, and talk. That's it. That's what this is here for.
That's great. And you know what? It's one of those things, man. When you're talking about skin color and political thoughts, man, that's something right now that I hate that that's the way things are.
Well, we could care less what you think about what. You know what? If you're hurting, just come talk. That's what the podathon's here for. That's it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So, hey, question for you. So, one of our other co-hosts, man. No, by the way,
cohorts. That's also true.
Cohorts, yeah. Porkman, it's not Hennessy. It is Tin Cup whiskey. I'm saving the Hennessy for when we meet up again. So Porkman, who is a co-host on the show, he's a big Van Jefferson fan. What are your thoughts on Van Jefferson?
Oh man, I don't know. I'm a little dicey on Van Jefferson. I'm not too sure about him. I mean, why? Where is he? He's a big fan of Van Jefferson.
So here's the thing. He says he's the best route runner in the class. So,
you mean Justin?
No, he's talking Van Jefferson. Jefferson.
No, Justin Jefferson's the best route runner in the class.
That's
what.
Okay, so
you talk about a Jefferson in the draft class. This is Justin Jefferson.
All right, so you're on a different side. Okay, I'm just curious. See, I like to see where other people stand too, because and part of the problem too is, Nate, sometimes we get a little insulated in the podcast where like we talk to the same 4 guys all the time, so it's nice to get a different perspective on things. So he's a big Van Jefferson fan. I'm kind of getting on board. I like the landing spot, LA. is fantastic. I think.
Yeah.
Them getting rid of Brandon Cooks is probably going to be great for him. But another guy who Porkman's a big fan of. What are your thoughts on Antonio Gibson as a Redskin?
What was that for Nate or is that for me?
That's for you. Your
I
thoughts on
mean,
Antonio Gibson?
and see, Antonio Gibson. So, because by the way, we talk about the Rams being nice landing spot. They also have Josh Reynolds there, so I don't know how easily it is going to be for him to crack it right away. Maybe sure, investment wise, but Gibson, yeah, I mean, after Terry McLaurin, I mean, what are we talking about? So. I think that's definitely a much easier way for him to get into there. I'd probably be a little more excited about Gibson shorter term.
That makes sense though. It does.
Yeah, because I think Reynolds is going to have an impact with the Rams. So I think that might kind of slow things up for Jefferson there with the while the Rams, yes, is a good spot, and I love Cooper Kupp. I think he's going to have a big bounce back year from last year. I just don't know how much Jefferson will be a part of that in year one. Again, it's dynasty, so we're looking down the road, but yeah.
So another question for you. What is your preferred fantasy format? I know you said you love redraft, but do you have one that you like more than the next? Obviously, we're dynasty guys. So.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's still redraft, but we joked about it earlier. There is this thing, but it's real. There's like this, it's almost like Star Wars, like a New Hope. Like you start a dynasty draft, and it's like it's gonna be great. Like I'm gonna create this thing, and I think there's something cool to that. I think there's something cool to dynasty. You go ahead and you create something, and then you have to maintain it. It's like a Tamagotchi. You got to go ahead and you got to get in there and you got to take care of it then after that. And I like that aspect. Like it's not just, because with redraft, while I love redraft, dynasty is growing on me because there's ramifications for the way in which you draft. Yeah. Like you can draft in a startup and you could say, yeah, I know this guy's 33. He won't be with the team next year, but you know what? Screw it. I'm going to cash in now. I'm going to take this guy. You can't always do that in dynasty. You can at some point, but you can't always do that. You have a lot of other things to bring into account. You have a lot of other guys to bring into account. So I think I think dynasty is a beautiful way of shedding light on other players that normally wouldn't be looked at in a redraft league. So I would probably say redraft is probably still my preferred, but dynasty is growing on me more and more.
Yeah, actually, Nate, I don't think I ever asked you that question, to be honest with you. What your preferred format is.
Yeah, I prefer dynasty.
Okay.
I played redraft for years and years, and I still like redraft, but as someone who always spent way too much time playing on Madden franchise mode, dynasty fantasy football is just too easy for me to get into. And as you know, I've recently started a Campus to Canton League, which has just kind of blowing my mind right now.
I can't do it. Mike, do you know what a Campus to Canton League is?
Nope.
All right, Nate.
Nope. Right. I'm not even going to pretend to know.
So I'd love to hear floor is yours. Mike, it's gonna floor you. I mean, it's something.
Yeah,
I can't even get into this.
It's something I think I've only really started popping up in the last year. So you start out, you actually control two teams in two different leagues. Okay, so you have one team which is your NFL dynasty team, just like any other NFL dynasty league you play in, like on Sleeper, MFL. And then you also have a dynasty league in NCAA. So you have a full squad of NCAA players. For example, I'm in a league with a bunch of Dynasty Nerds writers. We have 45 roster spots in our NCAA squad and 12 teams. That's a lot of NCAA players. I mean, we're still doing the NCAA draft right now. We're in like round 36, I think. I don't know, like hardly any of these players until I Google them. But you're picking these players. I mean, you're not allowed to pick players still in high school, so you can pick 2020 recruits right now. Okay. So you're picking guys that can be freshmen going into this season. So you could get a guy who's going to be a freshman going into this season and keep him on your team for 3, 4, 5 years on your NCAA team. And then he would get drafted and he would move up to your NFL team. And then you could have him there for 15, 20 years or whatever. So you can literally have a player throughout his entire amateur and professional career once he gets out of high school.
Wow.
So,
insane.
and you can trade across. You can trade. I could trade you Trevor Lawrence for Aaron Rodgers. Something like that. You can trade across platforms like that. So it takes a lot of work by the commissioner to make sure all that's going straight and smooth. But it is pretty wild. I think it might be a little over my head.
I
Something.
I wouldn't do it, but I dig it. I like it. I think it's cool. I do. And especially when you talk about trading a potential college guy for an NFL guy. I mean, by the way, whoever is commissioner deserves a present at the end of the year for that. You monitoring trades like that, that's a Google spreadsheet and a half. But I like the idea. I like it.
Yeah, and I actually traded back in the college draft a couple times. And all I asked for was that someone would trade up with me in the NFL draft because I know a hell of a lot more about NFL than I do NCAA. So,
Smart though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Do you guys play best ball at all? That's something I kind of want to get into, but I haven't yet.
I was doing a lot of that with play draft, and then play draft kind of folded.
A lot of people were bummed about that too.
I was. I have a play draft koozie. It collects dust. I'm very upset. No, but yeah, I did a lot through that. Me and Anthony, we would do like FF face off, best ball 10, just whatever. One year we had like 30 best ball teams.
Ooh.
True story. And my wife knows this, not like she'll watch this, but this is common knowledge. I actually started a best ball draft, our first best ball draft, as I was walking into our rehearsal dinner. I was starting it on my phone. So I think it's cool because it's you kind of it's almost like a time capsule. It's like you throw it in there and you see what happens. I like it.
It's funny that you said that you were starting a best ball draft walking into your rehearsal dinner.
Mhm.
I'd like to give all the gentlemen in the fantasy industry advice. And this is from me because it happened to me. Don't get married during football season.
Oh, no. Well, I got married in January, but I told her, listen, I'm down. I told her, I said, I'm down whatever time of year you want to get married, but it cannot be a Sunday. And then when we got to January, I said, well, when in January? Because there's a wild card game. I didn't say that out loud, but
Smart.
there's games on Saturdays at that point. So and then it moved to Friday, and then it was easy. Then it was perfect.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
Don't do that, and don't do kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. Don't do that on Sundays. Don't
have a kid. Don't have a kid during football season.
Okay, so I was worried.
I thought you were just gonna say don't have a kid outright. Whoa.
That was the only time I was ever rooting for the Eagles to not go to the Super Bowls when my daughter was born. I was like, please don't do this to me. Like, I do not want to miss the Super Bowl. And you know what? It's like, I don't want to miss the Super Bowl because my daughter's being born. It should be the you know what I mean?
Should be a joyous occasion.
So luckily, like, even if the Eagles had been in the Super Bowl last year, it was 2019, she was born. It was 2 days before my birthday, which is in late January. That's the week between the championship game and the Super Bowl. So I actually watched the Super Bowl that year with my week-old daughter sleeping on my chest. So I always say that my favorite Super Bowl is the Patriots-Rams. Even though it was really the worst, it was my favorite because my week-old little girl was on my chest. But So, gentlemen, make sure you tell your ladies, do not get married during football season. Don't do any of that. Spend extra money to do it some other time because we did it in November. And then my excuse was, why didn't you go on your honeymoon right away? I said I wanted to use money from the wedding and it was cheaper to travel to St. Lucia in May. The real reason was the next day the Eagles were playing the Dolphins. And I didn't want to miss it because I'm an Eagles fan. What can I say?
Listen, by the way, we're talking about dynasty leagues and we're talking about leagues with college players and pros. You talk about an investment. Forget about dynasty. Investment is if you get married on a certain day, it's always going to creep back up. I don't like the idea. That time of year can be too problematic. I know at some point I'm going to get screwed for being married in January, and I'll bite the bullet when I have to. And if the Niners are playing in the if the Niners are not Super Bowl, but if they're playing in the playoffs, my wife will bite the bullet, and she'll understand at that point.
Yeah.
Actually, this is just came to me. We celebrated our first wedding anniversary 1 year. The Niners were playing in the playoffs this year in the divisional round, and we celebrated it, our first wedding anniversary. And she was a trooper. She actually went with me to Finnerty's, which is a 49ers bar in New York City. We celebrated our first anniversary there, watching the 49ers with a bunch of 49er fans, and we brought our anniversary cake there. And we gave it to the bartenders, and So,
dude, that is so cool.
So, also find a cool wife or husband if you're into that thing. That's cool too. But
yeah, whatever.
Find a cool spouse.
Be happy
and find a cool spouse and dive on in head first.
Yeah. So I got married in October, October 25th.
That's tough. That's right.
I just checked the calendar, and it looks like that this year, October 25th, is a Sunday. And that Sunday is a Ravens game.
I don't like the story.
Where they play the Steelers.
Ooh. All right. Hold up. It's real easy. You have to surprise her. It's not hard. I'm really good at twisting things to make it seem like, and yes, Pork Man, I do know I have a winner. Thank you. Your wife is amazing too, by the way. There's a way. My wife's love. There's a way to be selfish, but make it seem like you're not. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, why didn't you do this? Well, honey, it's because I love you so much and I really wanted to do this for you. And then it's, oh, thank you so much. No, I didn't forget our anniversary. The real surprise is next week. You bought a week. It's just one of those things. So a relationship is like fantasy football. It's like trading, give and take, right? Mm-hmm. So you give a little bit.
Win every trade.
You can't win every trade, but you have to create that good rapport with your trade partner. You know what I mean? Because in your case, Nate, you definitely want to keep trading. So it's one of those things where maybe take the Friday off, right? And take her to a nice bed and breakfast. Chicks love that stuff. Run rampant through a field with wildflowers and pick them. And then you're home in time, be like, listen, make up something. Say, money's a little tight right now. So Friday, Saturday was a better rate. But, I want to make you dinner Sunday night. Nailed it. Done. Yeah, hit it out of the park. Yeah, you can make dinner while the Steelers-Ravens game is on.
Yeah, it's not even it's a 1:00 game. So
you're perfect, dude. You just
work it out.
Don't drink too much during the game. Yeah. Make dinner. You're
that's a thing. Yeah, don't drink. Yeah.
I do want to say. Oh, go ahead.
No, no. Good. You say what you want to say, then I was going to say something else. You go first.
So, our honeymoon, Ann and I went to Europe for 2.5 months. Nice.
That's a hell of a honeymoon.
Wow.
Yeah. So
never tell my wife that.
So we did this thing called Workaway because I can't afford going to Europe for actually 2.5 months.
Well, yeah.
And basically, we worked at like a B&B, and they gave us food and shelter in return. And from there, it was in Italy, and we were able to do day trips and then go on vacation from there. It was an incredible experience, but it was over all of November and December. And it was Lamar Jackson's rookie year. So it was a forgettable year for the Ravens for most of the year.
Yeah.
But I remember when Lamar Jackson made his first career start, my wife and I, her with me, we would watch the game on my laptop. It was like 6 hours ahead in Italy, so it was probably late at night. But she sat up and watched it with me because she knew how important it was to me. And that's when I knew on my honeymoon. I knew I had done really well.
That's when you know. I was gonna say, did you guys see? I know it showed up in the live comments, but I'm looking on Roto World, but Henry Ruggs injured his thigh while moving furniture and currently is on crutches. I mean,
what is today? June 1st, right?
Yeah.
Also, I missed it somehow. Happy 1-year anniversary to the Dynasty Rewind 5 days ago. May 26th or May 24th was our our 1-year anniversary. So happy anniversary to us. Thank you, you two, for
Later.
celebrating it with us. I did see that. I think it's early enough where he'll be okay. So
Yeah. Also, I think I read on Twitter that his dad said it was like he cut himself or something like that.
Oh.
So
Yeah, a little
it,
incision. Yeah, looks
yeah, it
like.
almost sounds less like if it was
Okay.
like a hamstring injury, or like a quad groin injury, like a muscle or a tendon, I'd be more worried. But if it's just like a cut or like a bruise, who
Right.
cares?
All right, perfect.
Okay. So we're good. So Porkman, that's how we feel about Ruggs' injury. We think he's fine. You know what? Actually, Nate, I don't know how you feel about this. Mike, I want your input too. How are we feeling about Henry Ruggs? For me, I feel better NFL player than fantasy player.
For sure, he's definitely gonna be a better NFL player than fantasy player. He's not the next Tyreek Hill. Not, I
No,
don't think so.
there's only one of them.
He is the wide receiver with the highest draft capital in this draft. He is really freaking fast, and the Raiders don't have any established weapons really outside of Darren Waller.
Right.
So he's definitely got the opportunity. I saw some stats that Derek Carr actually throws downfield a lot more than you think he does.
I think he's underrated, by the way.
Yeah, I think he isn't great, but I think we don't give him the credit he deserves.
Serviceable. If you have him
Fair.
as your quarterback 2 in Superflex, you could do way worse.
Yeah, certainly. So I think Ruggs is an exciting play. He's going to have some boom weeks, kind of like I don't want to compare him to Will Fuller, but I mean he might end up looking like that fantasy wise. So I would be happy if he was on my team, but I don't want to buy him at rookie drafts currently where he is.
Okay.
I like a Denzel Mims. That's my response.
I do too.
Yeah, I get the allure and the sexiness of a Ruggs, but I like Mims, man. Listen, I mean, that's an offense that just lost Robbie Anderson. Hopefully, we're not smooching with girls with Sam Donalds, So hopefully he's there for a full season. So
That was something, man.
of all things that could happen, it would happen to the Jets. But anyway,
I was gonna say that's such a Jets
yeah.
thing to have happen.
Yeah, but I like Denzel Mims in that spot. I really do. I like him with the Jets. I think he could have some impact. And listen, if he grows a rapport with Sam Darnold, they don't want to get rid of Sam Darnold. They don't want to say that we messed up on this, and I don't think they did. I just think it's some unfortunate circumstances. So,
Agreed.
I like Denzel Mims, and I think that you can risk less to get him than you would, say, Henry Ruggs.
Yeah.
So
Porkman does chime in and say that he thinks Brian Edwards is a better value than Ruggs, and I would agree with that. Unless he was talking about Mims, and then I don't know who I like better there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Probably like Mims just because he has no competition for his skill set in that offense. I like Crowder a lot. I don't like Perryman really at all.
No,
I like
Mims is the only
Perryman.
guy that's big outside receiver. I'm a Ravens fan, so I hate Perryman.
Well, Perryman's cheap. I'm cheap.
I can't get rid
therefore
of him.
I like Perryman.
I have him on my
I'm
team.
a Crowder guy.
Yeah,
I'm a Crowder guy. I like Crowder.
You should be. Crowder's a good possession guy. He could get you 15 points just on his catches alone with no yards.
Right. And that's fine. I'll take that running away every time.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's another undervalued wide receiver, I think, in a lot of drafts.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. And Mike, maybe you heard this. You're up there in New York. You probably hear a lot about the Jets against your will. A lot of people were saying, I guess, Gay said that they were going to unleash Chris Herndon this year. I mean, the last year he was suspended. Then I think his first game back, I put him in my lineup because I'm smarter than everybody. And then he immediately hurt his hamstring. So
yeah.
Now I'm just holding on to Chris Herndon, hoping you could be like a tight end 2 would be fantastic.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch any of them drafting. But I think that the Jets tight end position is definitely something to watch on the waiver wire. You guys do a lot of dynasty, so it's a different story. But if I was doing redraft, for example, I would wait and see. I'd lie in the weeds and see what happens with that tight end, because I think a tight end will hold value in an Adam Gase offense. It's just which one will.
Yeah.
Ryan Griffin did a good job last year, so
no slouch.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like, yeah, sure, they might want to unleash this guy, but they have other, good tight ends on that roster. So I'd like to see that materialize first. But I will say that I think in the first couple of weeks, I think that if you need a tight end, it's going to be high priority for a Jets tight end. They will hold value.
Okay.
They will.
I like the way you think. Honestly, that's good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? So, all right, we're about an hour and 10 in. Mike, you know what? I thank you so much for coming on. Again, hopefully more than we have 3 people now. Obviously, Doug Porkman and mystery guest. I don't know who else is on, but I had a great time with you. I follow both you and Anthony. Does he prefer Anthony or Tony? I don't know.
He's Anthony.
He's Anthony. He's a full name guy.
Oh yeah.
See, I'm not I don't know. Like when I get my full name, I'm in trouble, or my mom's talking to me.
Michael
Right.
says that, but he says the full name of every single NFL player.
Well, okay, so people have abbreviations, and I want to know what they stand for. It's my curiosity.
Curious nature. That's
DK
fine.
Metcalf is Decalen Zacharias. Now you know.
Wow.
Who
Learn
knew?
something new every day.
There you go. You're welcome.
I mean, it's now 9:17 p.m. here on the East Coast, but I
That it
just learned something that I did not know. So there you go.
Our podcast
Thank
is
you.
filled with tons of useless knowledge and some good fantasy content too. We pride
Well,
ourselves on
that's,
a little bit of that.
that's all the more reason why people should listen. So there you go.
I agree. So hey, Mike, thanks again for coming on. Anytime you want to come on, you, Anthony, you're both welcome. We can get both you guys on. We're using
Yeah.
StreamYard right now for everyone that's watching on YouTube. It accommodates up to 6 guests. There's 4 of us in the podcast, so that's room for 2. If my math is correct, somebody, Doug, if you're still watching, feel free to check me. I don't have a calculator on me. Doug also said he is still watching. He says, "Hit me up, Huff. You're a killer dude." So,
Hey,
hit up
cheers.
Doug on the Twitters, and I'll tell you what, Doug, you're a killer dude, man. Love you, dude. Seriously, so excited. I'm going to spill the beans. We are going to do an IDP for beginners episode with our boy Doug. There's nobody better to do this with. You know what? Doug's the man. We love Doug. He's going to come on. We're going to hang out. It's going to be a great time. And I guarantee that is probably going to be one of the funnest episodes that we are ever going to do on the Dynasty
Probably
Rewind.
the most
I am
entertaining one.
so freaking excited. We got a lot of great
Except
stuff.
for this one.
Well,
Except for one.
I'll tell you what, this was a lot of fun. And Mike, you know what the great thing was? I'd never met you before.
Yeah.
Obviously, we follow each other on Twitter. This was great. Loved having you on. Like I said, you, Anthony, welcome anytime. But before we head out, tell us where we could find you and all your work.
Well, yeah, you can follow me at the FF Realist. That's where I do a lot of my clever tweeting. Of course, you can follow the show at FF Faceoff and my co-host, who, again, I would be nowhere without. I'd love to see him on the show. See if this is a saying about me. But you can follow him at the Real NFL Guru. But yeah, most importantly, if I could share anything, it's the Hayden Hurst, the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. You can check it out at haydenhurstfoundation.com. It's going to be on July 11th. We're going to do our FF Face-Off Mental Health Podathon. And yeah, 16 hours. So it's going to be a blast. We're going to start at 7 a.m. for you East Coasters. You West Coasters want to get up early, you can join us. But yeah, we're going to go all the way to 11 p.m. Can't wait. A lot of guests and raise awareness to mental health and talk football. Can't wait.
Well, you know what? All you West Coast people, the weather's nicer out there. If you're in California, wake up early. Join the podathon. Also, Doug.
Yeah, Doug, I appreciate you too, Doug. I'm looking at that.
Doug did not have a good day. You made his day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
Doug, every time I talk to Doug, he makes my day.
Doug, you can hit me up after the show, Doug. I was talking to Mike off air. You wouldn't even know the day that I had. We could talk about it. And yeah. That's
absolutely.
It, man. Yeah.
Look at that. See, and that mental health, helping people, building connections. Here we go. Nate, before we head out, where can we find you on the Twitters?
You can find me at Nate NFL.
All right. And you can find me, if you are so inclined, at the Embauer 85. Doug, don't worry, you're getting your invite soon. Please follow the show at Dynasty Rewind. Until next time, everybody, here's my corny send-off. Be kind, please rewind. Thanks again for watching, not listening. See you next time.